episode of the DSP. As always, I'm your host, Josh, and tonight's episode is brought to you by Great Lakes Discs. Whether you're looking for cool new gear, such as this cool, awesome new fit I got from Great Lakes Discs, or your new favorite disc, Great Lake Discs will hook you up. I made it super easy. Just hit the Linktree link and then start your shopping. Without further ado, I'll let my guest introduce himself, where he's from. It's actually 2 in the morning for him right now, and how he even got into disc golf.
Okay, hi everyone. I am Thomas, also known as the Welsh disc golfer from Denmark on social media. I am from Denmark, where it is currently 2 a.m., as Joshi said. Um, and I live up in the north of Denmark. Um, I've been playing disc golf since 2021. I joined on the COVID boom as well. Um, and started filming my journey to become, well, I guess a pro disc golfer back in like 2023, start of 2023, and just been throwing away and playing tournaments and really getting competitive in the last couple of years. So it's been going fast since I got into the sport, I guess.
Yeah. Do you remember what your first tournament felt like when you showed up to it?
It was like I I used to play. I used to live down in the middle of Denmark, at a course where it was like there was a little club, and it's more in the style of like park pitch and putt,
Mhm.
um, with some decently long holes. And I remember playing a lot of, like, I trained with the club, played rounds there, and then someone said, "Oh, we're having the first of this tournament series." Called the Fairway Cup, which is basically our amateur tour. Um, and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. I could totally compete in that. And I mean, I'd been playing for maybe less than a year. I was like, oh, I gotta get a PDGA number and I gotta get everything. So I kind of just got right into it, and then played the first tournament, finished almost last, but had a really great time. And then from there on, it was basically just, yeah, I got hooked, and I wanted to improve, and I wanted to win and beat players. And I think I was probably nervous to play the first times, and I think I still get that nervousness like on the first couple of holes.
Mhm.
It's just heart beating and racing, and I don't know why, but when I get nervous, I get really shaky. So most times my first shot routine is basically like just feeling the shiver in my hands,
Yup.
trying to get that away before I get that first shot out. So it was a lot of fun, and I think I can't remember if it was the first or the second tournament I played, but I managed to ace uh,
Ooh.
at like my first or second tournament. And I managed to also miss out on the ace prize because there was ace prizes for two people, and we all three aced the same hole, hole two at the Viborg Disc Golf Park, which we were playing like hole 17, 18 because we had shotgun starts, and we heard the first ace go in, and people were celebrating and yelling, and we got over to hole 18 or something, and then there was another wave of excitement because someone aced, and then we got over there, and like I threw it in as well. It was just like that was very cool. And then at the prize ceremony, it's like, yeah, we only had ace prizes for two people, so I missed out on that. But at least I got the one on the scorecard.
Yeah. So what is disc golf like in your country? Is it like big or very popular, or is it starting to get popular? And is there a lot of courses or not really?
I think we're in like we are in a spot where disc golf is becoming like uh, mainstream, but not like we haven't quite reached like I usually think that like Sweden has that level where there is a separate pro tour that fills up with players all the time, and they have several different like amateur tours, and we've kind of reached that spot in between that and maybe the beginning where or you know the level where you have a combined amateur pro tour series. So we have our own pro tour, which is the Danish tour, where there is the MPOs, the FPOs, all the age protected divisions, and then there's also MA1 and FA1, but those usually get only like 5 players because most people just move up and play the MPOs. And then we have Fairway Cup, which is the amateur circuit, which is all over the country, and they've started to fill so much that they've split it into. They have the weekends where they have events. They'll have one course that has MA1, MA2, and if there's any females who want to play FA1, FA2, they can play there. And then there's the MA3, MA4, FA3, FA4. So we have an amateur that or an amateur tour that sustains, you know, having 2 different courses each weekend,
Hmm.
where we'll have around 160 players maybe sign up at the 2 courses combined, and the Danish tour events will usually always fill up to 90% at in the first 2 stages. So we're definitely moving upwards in terms of playing size, and I think we have around what is it? It's something like 130, 140 courses
Ooh, that's pretty
in
good.
Denmark, and where you can almost all places you can, because Denmark obviously isn't the biggest country, but if you live anywhere in Denmark, there's usually an 18-hole course within at least an hour
Ooh,
of where we live. And in most of the big cities, there's an 18-hole course within 20 minutes of driving. Um, where I live up in Aalborg, we have one of the oldest courses actually in Denmark. Um, and if you drive uh, 20 minutes down, there's a recently built 18-hole course, and there's a couple of 18-hole courses up north on the other side of the Jutland fjord, the river.
that's pretty cool.
So I have access to around like 4 or 5 18-hole courses within half an hour of driving, and then a bunch of like 9-hole courses and small park courses and stuff.
That's pretty cool. So, do you know if like any players from Denmark has done any tournaments outside of the country, and possibly like are will we be seeing anybody from Denmark making an appearance on the Pro Tour soon?
Well, we have our best player right now is a guy. I mean, we had KJ Naibo, who was touring a bit in the US back when he was in his heyday, and he's a 12-time Danish champion,
Oh, okay.
um, who was like the old guard and the original kind of player. And he obviously went around a lot. He had that playoffs against Simon Lissard at the Kona Piste Open back
Ooh,
in
okay.
2016 or something.
Yeah.
Um, and then now our newest, biggest talent is called Hjalte Jensen, who is he's I think he's 1015 rated at this point, and he placed like top 30 at Worlds in Finland,
Yes,
and
that's sweet.
he would have placed better. He would have placed inside the top 10, but he took a 12 on the last hole,
Oh,
which is unfortunate. But like he's really consistently good player, and he throws like 700 feet. He I mean, he made it to the distance world finals at the USDGC last year, I think. So like he throws consistently over 600 feet, and if
Wow,
he's playing any hole under, you know, 80 meters, he's throwing a tilt because he has that kind of power.
that's crazy power.
He's like he just goes around the Danish coast because and just in his practice rounds it's just like -12, -13, and he's just shredding the course because I think our course level um is obviously it's not pro tour level. It's probably a step or two below.
Yeah,
Um, and he can pretty much shred every course that we have over here in Denmark. Um, so he's very good, and he's gonna be a force to be reckoned with. I don't think he's going on the pro tour uh, this year, but he's definitely gonna play all the Swedish pro tours and try and play all the big events in um, in Europe. So he'll be at the Arle Open and what's that? Sweden Open, I
I
think.
think
Are
so.
the two events in Sweden that's on the Pro Tour. He'll definitely be playing those, and I think he might find his way to like a top 10 placement at those events because
Like
he's
that's gonna be huge for you guys. Like especially if like he pulls off a win, like Denmark is gonna go nuts.
yeah, that would be quite crazy. I mean, we have a few players who like does well in the international scene. We had the FP55 world champion last year. She's from Denmark.
Ooh,
And we have a couple juniors uh, who did well at the junior world championships a couple years ago, I think. Um, so there's definitely, and I mean, there's a lot of the players who play on the Danish tour, which are that step, I would say, under the pro tour level. So
mhm.
your local pros, they're around that level. And there's definitely a couple of those players who could participate and do well on pro tours. So I think we're definitely improving our talent pool. And there's bunch of like promising young people who's just picking up the sport at 16, 17, 18, and they're throwing double as far as everyone else,
Yeah,
and it's that aggressive breed of young disc golfers who'll just run everything and throw as fast as possible on every throw.
yeah. So you mentioned practice rounds earlier. So how do you practice? Do you do a lot of practice rounds, or do you do a lot of field work and putting, or just mixture of everything?
I think my philosophy to like practice is that the best practice I get to do is when I go to the course and actually play
Okay.
the course and get those shots in. I'll supply that with fieldwork sessions and net sessions, and we've just got tech discs at a local club, so
Ooh,
we have indoor trainings in the cold weather that we've started. So hopefully I'll get a lot of tech disc practice in also this year, and then I just do a bunch of putting to make sure that I know my form when I'm out there. I I live in an apartment, so I don't have room to have a big putting setup, but most of the times I'll five, 4 or 5 times a week, I'll just build a pile of uh, pillows and what's it called? Yeah, the pillows and duvets. I'll just build them up on the couch, and I'll go in the living room and I'll putt through the door into the
that works.
uh, bedroom, just to make sure that like I can recognize my aiming points. I can I know the feeling of my putt because I think that's the most important thing for me personally about my putting is that I know the motion, I know the mechanics of my putt.
Yeah.
Because if I lose that, it it can go sour quite fast. I'd say I'm an above average putter. I usually put myself around that 80 to 85% in C1X, and I'll make a few C2 putts here and there.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, think my best practice is usually done in the course. Also because, as some people might know, I have a unique playing style.
I was just gonna ask about that.
So sometimes I really have to get out and get to know a course to really know what kind of shots from my game that really fits that course. So that is what I value most is the on course practice. Definitely, yeah, for sure.
So, what is your playing style? Because this is what you're known for.
Yeah, but I've pretty much made a name for myself being the tomahawk guy here in Denmark, and it's funny because like I started throwing tomahawks back in I'd probably played around year and a half, 2 years, and then I had some friends out to play, uh, showing them the sport, and I was throwing them the backhands and the side arms, and you can throw it like that and like that. And one of them was like, "Well, what if I just did that?" And he parked a short hole with it, and it just made a lot of sense. And then I tried it, and it was just like it was just like point and shoot kind of like because I play a lot of handball and I've played volleyball
Hmm.
um, in my youth, so it just made a lot of sense that whole throwing motion to throw it over your head, and that basically started it. And we also had that local guy who always throws tomahawks, who at one of our trainings at the club in Viborg, we where he came out was like, if you practice this shot, you could use it for scrambling, and I did that and I was quite good at it. And that was basically how I started throwing tomahawks. And it started by being a scramble shot. And then I realized that on some tee pads, I could throw it where it made sense. And then I could throw it over trees. And then, you know, and I think a lot of people in Denmark got to know me either through playing with me or hearing about people who play with me as, oh, you'll see this guy throw some crazy lines because he's gonna throw some tomahawks. He's gonna throw over the trees. Um, he he doesn't have a backhand, but he'll just toss a tomahawk instead. Um, and it was a weird sensation because then I'd play tournaments where when I got up to the card, there'd be one guy who was like someone I'd never played with, and they'd be like, "You're that guy." and then and it just kind of became like that thing, and it's probably been a bit self-reinforcing because I was the tomahawk guy. I felt like practicing more of that and getting better at that. But I really think that that side of my game, like throwing tomahawks and making them work for holes that maybe shouldn't have a tomahawk, kind of became my game. And obviously, sometimes people will compare me to like Jake Wolf and say, "Oh, you're the Danish Jake Wolf." And I think
That's
o-
pretty cool.
obvious, obviously, that makes sense because I throw tomahawks and sidearms. Jake Wolf threw tomahawks and sidearms. I think one of the things where I really differ and where I make a name for myself is like on wooded holes and maybe low ceiling holes. I have low tomahawks I can throw where like
Ooh.
it's like throwing a um, what's that? Like throwing a turnover backhand because that is kind of the shape you get from a tomahawk, right? Because it
Yeah.
starts out left and then it flips over and comes back to the it go it
Yeah.
starts on left and comes to the right and flips over and gets back to the left. So you kind of get that Anheuser turnover forehand or backhand line, but obviously with a tomahawk. So many times where people will throw that turnover shot, I'll try and throw a low tomahawk that like simulates that. And I mean, even sometimes it's better to throw the tomahawk because it will flip fast and you can get really tight, like
Yeah.
Anheuser lines. And I think that is kind of my unique way of approaching really tight lines because I can get that really tight flex. So if something needs to go left and then go right and go left really quick, you probably can't get a backhand to do that. But if you get it with a tomahawk, you can get it to start left and then get to the ground and start skipping back over again. And I think there's a lot of like wooded golf um, where I actually have that advantage.
Yeah.
Be- because obviously people think that, oh yeah, we are throwing tomahawks, you have to throw over everything to be effective. But because I have that tight flex line game, I'm actually quite a good like woods golfer. Uh, coincidentally, where you'd probably think that that is when I struggle. If I can't throw over things, I'll have issues. But that's part that is the part of my game where I actually am very good. So I think my also another aspect of that is like that what's it called? Lost my train of thought. No, but like people would think as tomahawks as something wild and exciting and aggressive and stuff, but my opinion is actually it's almost like the most conservative shot type you can throw because I on big open fairways where someone would need maybe to get like big flex lines to get lots of distance, I'll throw a tomahawk that goes way up in the air, but only like flips maybe on half of the space that someone else needs to throw 400
Yeah.
feet, which is around like my max power. So I think paradoxically, tomahawking and overhanding is actually a very safe way of playing, um, where obviously people think is wildly aggressive. And
Yeah, dude, I got hopefully at some point you come over to America and I could get around it with you. That'd be a blast.
it would be, I've definitely thought about going to America because obviously that's where the sport originated, and it would be really cool because obviously I have Team Elevation as well, where
Yep.
I'm sponsored, and most of them are based in the US, and Austin, who owns Elevation, lives down in what's it called, West Virginia. So it could be really cool to get over there. And probably where this will segue is that like one of the events that I have on my tour schedule this year is the PDGM Worlds, which is up in your
Yes.
neck of the woods.
Yep. All my home courses.
And if it's not certain that I'll be able to go because it's an expensive trip and
Yeah.
all of that. But if I have the possibility, I will definitely try and get to Am Worlds this year and just see how I measure up to the best amateurs in the US and try and throw some of the US level courses that obviously are over by you guys because you've had the sport and
Yeah.
know how to build courses and stuff. So
Yeah, the
uh,
the courses that Amworlds will be playing are pretty good. We've got Bond Lake, which I play 5 times a year for tournaments. It's phenomenal. Lots of elevation, lots of wide open shots, some challenging wood shots. We got Como Park, which is a beautiful park. Couple water carries and a bunch of open shots, which will be really cool. Royalton Ravine, which is our like newest course. and that's a tough wood course, very tight gaps, very challenging. And then we have Emery Park, which is we call called the Black Diamond. It's our biggest course, and it's got a mix of everything: wide open shots. It's got like tight woods, wide open, just very challenging. Like that course kicks my butt every time, but I love it because it kicks my butt.
Yeah, yeah, we have that style of course as well. Yeah, I think definitely from the things I've heard, Emery is gonna be the place I'm gonna be most excited to play if I go over. It sounds like a really great course with lots of punishment and lots of mixed holes.
Yep.
So I think that is definitely gonna be one of my favorites to play at Amworlds if I go.
Yeah. So what drew you to it's elevation discs, right?
Yeah.
Or okay, so what drew you to elevation discs?
Well, basically it was the thought of having like a tomahawk disc with no ground play.
Ooh.
That's kind of the thing because it's I was on team elevation last year and then I got onto the team again this year. And the year before that, basically I think it must have been because I there's like one guy in Denmark who throws elevation and has all of their discs, and I played around with him at a tournament, and I thought it was a fun concept. Then it kind of got shelved for a bit, and then it showed up on my Instagram feed or something. I was like, hmm, that could be really interesting if that works the way I think it will work with tomahawks. So I bought a couple of discs from the one retailer in like Sweden who had them, and I ended up getting a putter and a driver and that, and I started throwing those around. Um, and especially like they have the OG, which is the super soft ones.
Mhm.
Um, where I got the koi, which is kind of their flippy putter. Um, which I found out was really good tool to like throw on like approach tomahawks like 30 meters, 20, 40 meters. If you just like put it up in the air, just vertical, and it just dumps down. When it hits the ground, it just kind of flops. So it really opened up an avenue for me to like throw vertical approach shots like in the woods, where I wouldn't have to be afraid of the disc suddenly rolling away on me. Um, I think that was one of the first discs where I was like, oh, this this really makes a lot of sense. And then I spent a year throwing the discs, posting videos on it on Instagram, um, writing back and forth with Austin about new releases, about discs, about what I thought was cool about Elevation as well, and then applied the at the start of that coming season, and then got onto the team, and then it's just been kind of like a family. And I know everyone
Ooh.
says, "Oh, these teams they're like families," but I really think that like we are I think 25 on Team Elevation, and it's just been really great because we have like a Discord server where we just write back and forth about everything, disc golf, our pets, our everything. And what Austin is really good at is that he really includes us in like his process of running the company. So if there's new runs of discs, he'll ask, "What should we call this colorway?" And he'll ask, "Oh, what disc are you guys missing?" So I can try and make that the next mold. Um, and then also last year, I because there is he has this one stamp with his is with a fairway driver called the Binks, which
Mhm.
is his cat, and he made a special like Halloween stamp for it, which is the wizard Binks, where he basically just did the cat with a cape and like a little wand, and I thought that was really good idea. So um, I wanted to do uh, a gecko. The gecko is their overstable fairway driver, um, and I wanted to do like a wizard gecko stamp for one, and I spent a couple of months like drawing that and making that stamp. And then Austin said, "That's really cool. Can I put that on a disc?" And then I basically became a stamp designer through Elevation as well.
That is so cool.
So last year at Halloween, you could get a wizard lizard stamped gecko, which I had designed.
That
Which
is
is a,
awesome.
I mean, like when I got into the sport, it was like you obviously you saw people who had their names on discs, and there was stamp designers, but like I never imagined that like that was something I was gonna do. So that's been a really cool opportunity, and obviously Austin takes very good care of us, includes us in almost everything, and we have team like nights. I do Jeopardy nights, like where we do disc golf trivia, elevation trivia, and a favorite trivia is to try and I make questions about things that Austin has said about elevation discs, and then it's really funny when he can't answer them. So yeah, it's I think team elevation has been really great to be on the last year and couple of months. So that has been really great. And I think genuinely, like not even because I'm sponsored, they have some really good discs and a lineup. Like I think they have some of the best throwing putters in the game. Um, I think the Arowana is a really, really good straight throwing putter, and I think those are kind of the discs that I coincidentally throw really well on backhand, even though I'm not very good at backhand. So there's a couple of those throwing putters that I really enjoy throwing. And obviously the Gecko is a really great uh, tomahawk disc because it's an overstable fairway. And there's something about like the way rubber makes the disc like kind of bend when it's in the air that makes it really good for gliding on tomahawks. Um, and the Screech, which is like a rubber Zone OS, has been a really fun approach disc as well, just for those chop forehand approaches where you just need something to dump down. And then obviously when it hits the ground, it doesn't roll anywhere,
Yeah.
which is a huge plus. And we often talk about like how other companies have more and more like this year. I think basically every company has been like introducing some type of soft um, blend into their lineups,
Hmm.
and we're all just like, but they're not as soft as elevation.
Yeah.
Because then it'd be like, oh, it can bend almost to half, and then we're like, we just fold our putters, and it's really great. I think if people out there haven't tried throwing elevation, they should definitely give it a go because it's genuinely changed the way I can approach the game,
Hmm.
especially. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, do you guys have to be 100% elevation, or are you guys able to have like a mixed bag?
We have mixed bag with we have to have a set amount of molds in our bag, or well, a set amount of discs in the bag, but mostly mixed bag.
What
Um,
What is in your bag for this year?
oh, it's not quite set in stone, but obviously I have quite a big bag. I bag more discs than your average player because I have specific discs for throwing my backhands. I have specific discs for throwing sidearms, and then I have specific discs for throwing tomahawks. And I also have utility discs for like that very specific shot. So I think last year I had. 29 discs in my bag.
Ooh, okay.
Um, and I put with marbles from Birdie
Okay.
disc golf supply. Yeah. Um, I have a couple of the Jake Wolf runs that I bought when he got those out. Then I throw obviously the OG Koi is my approach soft tomahawk disc. I have a Berg in my bag. Then I have two Kois and an arowana for my backhand throwing putters. I have the Screech for my sidearm approach. Uh, then uh, I have an OG interceptor, so like the super soft interceptor, and then I have the new Eco Firm interceptors, which is Elevation's most stiff rubber, which is a disc I'm gonna put in my bag this year. Um, then I have a Bendy Blend Swarm. I think I'm gonna put an MD3 in my bag as well, so I have like a full range of mid ranges because usually I don't throw a lot of mid ranges. They're not really that reliant on my sidearms and the things that I can make it do on tomahawks. I can replicate with like a putter or a
Mm-hmm.
driver. Um, then I am uh, maybe some would say addicted to throwing like felons. I have I have a
Yes.
vast collection of felons, and I love my felons.
Just really
So
quick, really fast. Do you notice a difference between a normal felon and a sake bomb felon?
there is definitely a difference between a normal felon and a sake bomb felon,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and it's definitely hurt us people who know the
Yes.
difference that there's not going to be more sake bomb felons.
Well, DD is working on a replacement disc for the sake bomb felon. So it's gonna be just like the sake bomb felon, but it won't be called a felon because you can't call it a felon. So just wait. That's gonna be dropping soon, hopefully. They're in the works of it, so I'm pumped about it.
That's how it's good. I mean, I've obviously stocked up on felons. I think I have most of the plastics. I mean, right now I'm bagging three felons because I need one that's, I need a flippy one, I need a straight one, and then I need an overstable one.
Yep.
Um, and I mean, I've been cycling felons for the last 3 or 4 years because it's just so good to have that amount of or that different stability in a disc that I trust so much.
Yep.
Um, and then I've been mixing in the geckos from Elevation in between that. So I have an EcoFirm one, I have EcoFlex, and then I also have the Glow G, the Wizard Lizard, obviously. Um, then for distance drivers, I throw. Right now, I'm going into like PDs and
Mm-hmm.
PD2s. Um, I used to throw a lot of destroyers, but last year I managed to lose 3 destroyers in one tournament.
Oh
so
boy.
so I had to like mix it up. So I threw DD3s for a while, and now I'm on a stage of throwing the Nordic Phenoms PDs, and then the PD2s. Um, what else? I have a Grace in my bag for like big hyzer flip sidearms or backhand rollers.
Yes.
And then I have the Defender is my left turning distance tomahawk, and I have a Jake Wolf Nugo S, which is my tight distance. So it has a decently quick flip, but will still like push really far. And then I have a water nuke OS for when I have to throw over water. That's just like a C nuke OS. And then I have the Bendy Blend nuke OS
Mm-hmm.
from the April Fool's run last year, which is my big distance tomahawk. That's the one. If I have all the space in the world and just need to get it like really far, I'll pull that out and throw. I can throw around 400 feet on tomahawks
That's
on
impressive.
on
400
on a
feet.
warm day. Um, yeah, and then I have a few utility discs. I have a really beat-in flippy distance driver, which is my super quick turning. So if I need something to flip over and just go to the left and skip and jump, I have that. I have a splice, which I use for most of my like overstable approaches, and if I need something to flex really overstably. um, and what's the last one? I have a Rask as well. You
Mm,
know, the double rimmed one
yep.
from Casterplast, which is like a tunnel tomahawk disc. It has a tight flip, but it pushes kind of far. Which I use for if like there's a tunnel hole where I need to push really straight. Um, I think that's probably about the kind of slots I'm trying to fill in. So like I want to have uh, backhands in all three stabilities. I want to have the sidearm neutral one and then the overstable sidearm, and I want to have every stability of like fairway drivers and every stability of mid ranges, and then a vast a couple of options for specific shapes in tomahawks, and then also in the in the distance driver slot, I want to kind of have those overstable, straight, flippy. So in a traditional sense, my bag is built up in flippy,
Yeah.
straight, and overstable, but I complement it with some things for the shapes that I need, and then I'd guess like the overhand version of that combination is like quick flip, uh, uh, quick flip, but with push, and then like big, wide, uh,
Yeah.
pans. Yeah.
So with your unique throwing that you do, I see your 5K follower challenge that you're doing. So where are you standing at that? How's it going? And what is it actually like? Just tell everybody what it actually is.
Yeah, so I do this challenge that I imposed on myself where I said at the beginning of the year I want to make sure that I actually get out and throw each day, both so I can kind of practice and both so I can remember how I throw, you know, because obviously if there go sometimes there goes a week or 2 weeks where I don't have the or I don't get out to throw a full round, and then that idea was that it would just kind of help to not make me forget my form. So I built in new habits when I got out to throw around again. And then it was obviously I've set this very high bar of hitting 5K followers. It's gonna take a while, but like it is an uh, incentive for me to get out and actually get those throws in, get out and practice. Sure, and it's also a really good way for me to show off like disc flights for a lot of different discs. So and holes or different throwing ways. So like today I went out and I just played hole one at my local course and was like, I'm gonna throw a tomahawk on this. I'm gonna throw a sidearm. I'm gonna throw a backhand on it. And that is the point of the challenge, to throw one of every shot type. Um, and I class those into backhand, sidearm, and overhand because all throws in some way fit in between those slots
Mhm.
mechanically, and it's just kind of a way for me to get out, get that practice, show off some discs, show off some holes, um, and all around just grow my following. Um, so the main goal for me is not to hit 5K followers. I know that's gonna take me a long, long time. Um, but the main goal is for me to get out and throw every day and to show off discs and all of that basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, what are your goals for this year?
This is the year where I have to win a PDGA tournament. I still haven't locked that down. It was my main goal last year. I had a lot of really great events where I just choked it out in the end. So that is gonna be goal number one. Um, Goal number two is I'm gonna try and play a lot more. I'm gonna go on the Danish tour this year. We have lead card coverage in MPO, so I'm gonna for those events I'm gonna move up to MPO. I'm gonna try and get on that lead card. See if I can play just one good starting round to get myself on those cards. Um, and on the social media side of things, the goal is obviously to keep up with this daily challenge, try and make sure that I get out and throw that every day so I can keep practicing, keep practicing. I want to hit my first rating goal of the year is to hit 920 because then I get into stage two uh, signups for the Danish tour events, and then if I can make it to like I haven't decided on a number yet, but like 940 by the end of the year, I'd say I've had a pretty good year. Um, and I've been trying, or last year I got into releasing more long form content as well. So I've been doing a bit of YouTube. I've released a couple of videos. And this year I'm trying to release a video kind of every month if I can. And I've started working on the framework for uh, a tomahawk like series where I try to take you the viewer through how you would build a usable tomahawk overhand, um, which I hope that I can start filming at some point once I've like kind of build out how that is going to be shaped up. And then I do these tomahawk challenges where I go to courses and I just play them throwing only tomahawks. That is kind of my main um, content stream right now,
Hmm.
and I want to do those on more different courses. Um, and then I think obviously this is gonna sound like a lot of videos, but um, I think I also want to try and do like the preview style video where like for the Danish tour events I'm gonna play, I'll try and go out and film that practice round, make sure that like I can get that. So I probably won't have those edited to get out before the events, but like having
Yeah,
that preview style video from our events will obviously help me grow, but also like show off what we've got of courses in Denmark.
that's pretty cool. So, as we're wrapping this up, you got any questions for me?
Um, I don't think I have so many questions.
All right, that's cool. Um,
um, yeah.
so final question for you is where can people find you to follow your journey?
Well, the best way to support me is going on to Instagram, going on to YouTube, following me there is Welsh disc golfer from Denmark, as written here. Um, and then if you want to support me through like my sponsors, you can go to Elevation Discs and use my code. You can find that on my Instagram. You can go to Kaiman.se, which is my retail sponsor. I have a code there as well where you can get 10% off. And then the Fairway brand, which is my apparel sponsor, they also give me, or there you can also get 10% off by using my code. So, and you can find all of those on my Instagram profile and YouTube profile. So if you want to support me by buying stuff, you can go there. But obviously the best way to support me is just if you follow my Instagram, that little follower count, it goes up and it shows people that I am I have a lot of people interested in following my journey and supporting my journey. And it means, like, every follower means the world to me. Where when I started, I didn't expect to even get like to 100, and then I got to 100, and then didn't expect to go to 200, and then now I'm at
Yeah.
2100 followers, and I'm one of the biggest social media people in Denmark in disc golf, and it's been wild. um and I can't thank every single one of the people who follow me enough, because like that is time that people take out of their day to watch my videos and share my journey. So that is the
Cool.
best way to support me, is just go follow, and I'll be really appreciative.
Sweet. Hey, thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast. It's
Yeah,
been
definitely. All right,
great
make sure
just
you get
talking
back to
disc
bed,
golf.
buddy.
I will.